Hey everybody, you're listening to the Katana Podcast. This is actually episode 2, but it is the first episode where I actually call the episode the Katana Podcast because in the first episode, and of course I have to mention this before I get into any of my topics, I called the podcast the Nerd Work Podcast because for I don't know how long that was the planned name for this podcast. And the reason was I'm nerdy and I'm actually doing this at work because once I finish, I just have a bunch of free time. So that's why I was going to call it that. And I did it, last week I did the episode, and afterwards was when I thought I should probably check to see if this is online by now, because when I done it before, it wasn't. But that had been a while ago when I come up with the idea, and I just wasn't able to do the podcast. So unfortunately, I had to change it. I really like that name because I didn't think it had to be anything related to, my YouTube name, because it doesn't have to be. It just has to sound right. And then it was like, crap, I can't use that. So unfortunately, I can't use the Nerd Work podcast, but there is one. So, go check them out because, at least they got the name. Someone with that type of cool name, I think, should at least get views. So just look up Nerd Work podcast. You will find something. But thanks for joining me again, I guess, episode 2. In episode 1, that was a really specific podcast for me because I had just come out of doing a convention, so it was like, this is the video where I'm gonna put all my pictures in and stuff. So it wasn't really the normal type of podcast that I would be doing. It wasn't just, oh, here are some topics that I wanted to talk about, because the first thing that I wanted to talk about from the very beginning was Resident Evil, because that's my favorite video game franchise. It has been since I was a little kid, always has been, always will be, I assume, unless every game comes out like Resident Evil Survivor or Resident Evil 5, because I didn't really enjoy that one too much either. But it's my favorite franchise. I've always enjoyed it since I was very young. Like, I played it. I have the first Resident Evil Director's Cut, which I believe only came out, I think that came out like a year after, or maybe like a year and a half after the game originally came out. And it comes with like a demo disc for Resident Evil 2. And so I was playing it, like, the first one came out in 96. I was born in 92, so I had to have been playing it in, like, 97 or possibly 98. So I was still very young. And, somehow I just ended up getting that game. I think it was probably my cousin's. But, I still have that to this day. And Resident Evil has just always been one of my favorites. It's always a fun game to play, for the most part, at least. I'm not like one of those uber fanboys where it's like, I like this thing, so it's perfect all the time, because it's not. I played Survivor when I was young, and I was really mad like everybody else. And I played Resident Evil 5, and I was mad like everybody else. I was really upset with Resident Evil 5. It made me very disappointed. I was excited. Coming off Resident Evil 4, I think was like the biggest thing it could have possibly done. I wasn't like, Resident Evil 4 isn't my favorite. Like, I know that's the big thing. It's like, oh, Resident Evil 4 is the best Resident Evil. It's not. It's really fun to play, and I've played through it the most just because it's the easiest to play through, because it's more modern. Like, just to put it simply, it's more modern, so you can shoot through it much faster than old Resident Evil games, even though they're like, if you kind of speed through one of the old Resident Evil games, they're seriously like 4 hours long. So despite that, it's not the best game just because a lot of people love it. I did enjoy it, and then I'm like, all right, 5 is coming out. I'm excited. It has this new Resident Evil 4 style to it, but it can still be really creepy. Like, RE4 had some really creepy moments to it. And then 5 came out, and it was just a straight up action game, and I was just pissed. And it was like, just everything about it was disappointing to me. The AI, of course, sucked. And the thing about the AI is that if you play as Chris, and of course Sheva's the AI, which is the default thing because you start off as Chris, it sucks because she will just shoot, waste ammo, shoot you for the most part. It's like as if her bullets can just ghost in and out and then hit enemies. But if you play as Sheva and Chris is your AI, and I noticed this as soon as I started playing as her, there are no issues like that. It's almost like they had a completely different AI system for Chris than they did for Sheva. And it kind of blew my mind. It was like playing as Sheva, it was so easy not to have him be a crappy AI partner. But when you play as Chris, it's just bad. She wastes all the ammo. If you give her any ammo, then she'll waste it. She'll use all the healing items. Everything about it just sucks, and it was so disappointing. And the one point in the entire game, I think there were 2 parts in the game that were actually at night. One point of the entire game, the first time it was night in that game, it went from, I think, day to night during a cutscene, and then that's when you fought El Gigante. And in 4, if you played it, you know how cool it was. It's like this giant thing is towering over you. You gotta dodge it when it's stomping its feet. You gotta look out for it swinging. If it grabs you, you gotta stab it like crazy. You gotta hit it a bunch of times before it kneels down. Then you jump on it. And then in 5, it's like, all right, let's in the tank or whatever we're in and just shoot machine gun bullets at it and move left to right while we shoot bullets at these guys coming out so they don't shoot bullets at us. And that was the whole thing. It's like, all right, he's throwing a rock, duck. And then you get up. And then once you kill him, it's like, poof, it's daytime again. And then it's not night until you're fighting against the boss at the end of the game. And, you know, the whole other set of issues there, too. But, you know, that one really disappointed me. And a lot of people, of course, hate 6. I actually really enjoy 6. I like that one way more than 5 because it at least they learned from 5 and they're like, all right, we kind of screwed up and made Resident Evil like way too much action based, and we're gonna at least put a blend in here where the people who did really love 5, because there are some people who just like pure action games, and it's like, all right, I've always liked Resident Evil, but I wanted it to be more action based, and those people have it now, and it's like, all right, that's Chris' campaign. And for everyone who likes classic old school Resident Evil where it's really zombies and it's, I can't really say terrifying or scary, but because it wasn't really that scary in 6, but it's scarier at least. There are some moments that are pretty creepy. Like there's a part, and I think it's when you're kind of going through right before you get to the church in 6. And sorry if this is spoilers, honestly, it's like a minor part, but you're basically in a graveyard and you get split up, especially when you get split up from your partner, whether it's AI or human, you both get separated. That's actually like a pretty creepy part. It's just dark and it's raining and creatures coming out of nowhere and stuff that I thought was good. And so they did that stuff like here for the old fans. And then they had the 3rd campaign, which was kind of a blend between horror and action, and that was really like this story-based campaign more than any of them, I think, just because both characters were fairly new to people, at least play-wise, because you had Sherry Birkin from 2 and she was a little kid when she did that before. So in 6 it was a little different, but I enjoyed 6. I'm so excited for Resident Evil Revelations 2 though, because it, you know, when Revelations came out, it was the game where people were like, it's taking it back to old school, where it mixed the stuff with, it mixes 1, 2, and 3, and you know, like Code Veronica horror aspects with Resident Evil 4 and 5, and that was like right before 6. The graphics and the playstyle where it's over the shoulder and not the set camera angles and stuff around corners, and it worked. It was a creepy game. You're by yourself throughout most of it. You're fighting these gross creatures, and it was just a fun game to play through, and that was pretty much all it needed to be. And it showed like Resident Evil, depending on who writes it, can be exactly what it used to be, and it doesn't have to be set camera angles and pre-rendered, you know, backgrounds and stuff that you can't interact with for it to be scary. It just has to be the right person saying, this is the story, this is where they are, this is how many people are really going to be on screen at one time, which is typically 1, and that's all there is to it. And it was a good game, and I'm so excited for 2 because, for 1, we finally get to play as Claire again, which we haven't had since like PlayStation 2 came out, and they re-released Code Veronica on, you know, PS2, and then she was technically in like Revelations 3D or Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D, whatever, but she hasn't been in a story-based game since then. And they're adding a new character who's involved with it through Barry Burton. Is like his daughter's going to be in it, so that's pretty cool. And it actually takes place in, I believe, 2012, because the game's kind of going real time. But I'm really excited for that. It looks incredibly creepy. I hope that they announce something where we actually get to play as Rebecca Chambers. And, you know, if you know Resident Evil, then you know why I want her in there. But if you don't, and you're actually still listening to this, Rebecca has not been in a Resident Evil game since the Resident Evil remake. And that, you know, since the games actually do go in order, it's like the characters, you know, the last game came out in, I believe last year, like 2013, and it actually ends in the future. Like it ends during 2014, or maybe it came out in 2012. I honestly can't even remember, but it actually ends in the future. So with this character who hasn't been in a game since the original, which takes place in 1998, if they put her in a game now and it was in real time, she would go from 18 years old to like 33 years old. And it's like such a crazy jump. That's why I'm hoping that she's in Revelations 2, even though it would still be a huge leap from, 18-year-old Rebecca from 1998 to 2012 Rebecca. I'd still love to see her character because we have not seen her since that first game. And there are books and stuff, like pretty much any big franchise. But it's just crazy. Like, she has not been in a game since the Resident Evil remake. And that, time-wise, is 1998. So it's really weird to just have these characters, just like with Sherry in 6. She was like 12 years old in the second game, and then 6 comes out and she's like in her 20s and stuff. So it's really cool to have that, but it's been such a huge leap that there's just no way to have this character who was 18 in Resident Evil 0 and then the remake to even remotely look like herself. Like, she just wouldn't be the same person. It's such a huge difference. It's not like, oh, there's the 12-year-old girl that would logically have to be completely different. It's like the character who was a main character in Resident Evil 0, she's like half of the entire cast of the characters that you can play as, at least. She went from that playable character at 18 years old to like this completely different human being at 33 or something. Like, she could have kids for all we know. But it's something I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping the game comes out and it's going to be great. They're like re-releasing the Resident Evil remake, I believe, at the end of this year, and then Resident Evil Revelations 2 comes out at the early next year and stuff. So I'm excited for that. Like, Resident Evil, the remake, that is without a doubt the best game that's ever been made. There's no argument there. The Resident Evil remake is the best Resident Evil. Like, I love the other ones, 2 and 3, 0, Code Veronica, all the games, I like them, except for Survivor. But the remake is the best game. It changes some stuff around it, like retcons the original story, but it makes it better. Like, it adds in so much amazing stuff. It makes it a little bit more challenging because zombies, you have to burn their bodies otherwise to get back up and stuff. But that is the best one, and it is like one of the best looking games I've ever seen. And even now, just the GameCube version, if you go back to that, still looks unbelievable. So they're going to update that and put it out for pretty much every console. It's coming out for PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Ironically, not on the Wii. That was one of the really big things with Resident Evil. Like, the new one for Revelations 2 is not going to be on the Wii. And the reason that's a big deal is because the first Revelations game was released initially on the 3DS, and then it went to the console. So a lot of people are kind of mad about that, and it makes it makes sense for people to be mad because it's like this company kind of helped put this game out, and they could have had a deal with them. It's not like, with it being Resident Evil, I think they could have gone to anyone, but they went to Nintendo first, and they were on the 3DS before Revelations even came to other consoles. And I was just like, nah, we're just not going to put it on the Wii, Nintendo eShop or whatever. So that's something that's very interesting to me. And also, I heard that Revelations 2 is actually going to be an episodic thing, so that seems pretty cool, but at the same time, I kind of hate it because I'd rather just buy a Resident Evil game because, I kind of just want the whole story together because I'm not big on those games like The Walking Dead type stuff where you buy it in episodes. I love those games, but I'm just going to, honestly, I'll just wait till it's at the end and I'll buy it on sale because I'm cheap and I can't, like a TV show, I'm not paying to get each episode, so it's a little different. But I'm still excited for that to come out. I can't wait to see, hopefully, how good it is. I don't want it to come out and then it's like, oh, here they kind of ruined Revelations and they already screwed it up or something. So I'm hoping they take that down the path of Revelations becomes like the great, resurgence of Resident Evil where it takes people back to the old days and stuff like that. And I know if you're a huge fan of Resident Evil like me, you're still waiting for them to just remake 2 and 3 as just like they did the original. And I will love it if they did that so much. It would be crazy. But excited for Resident Evil like I always am. It's a new Resident Evil game. I'm excited for how things are going to go. Very curious about what they're going to do for the main franchise too with Resident Evil 7, but I'm just going to have to wait and see, and hopefully I don't have to go crazy and wait for a bunch of episodes with Revelations 2 coming out. It'll hopefully be enough episodes where they come out fast enough where I'm not waiting like a month or 2 months for every single episode. But I'm gonna end up buying it at some point anyway, so I'm just really excited for it. And then, kind of touching on episodic things, I'm still waiting for like Walking Dead season 2. Like, I know that's technically out and I could get it all together. I'm still waiting for that to go on sale super cheap, and I'll probably end up doing that during Black Friday, which is really only like 2 weeks away, and it's kind of driving me nuts because I'm looking at all these things, and as pretty much any human being on Earth, especially one in college, I don't have money for a lot of the stuff I want to get. And there's some stuff where it's like I want to make better videos, I want to do my YouTube things, and I really really need a new laptop because my laptop really freaking sucks. I can't capture any games on my laptop like I wanted to do gaming videos on my laptop. I can only do console stuff, which is pretty much the main reason why I only have like 4 gaming videos up. And I planned on doing that. I wanted to start that like months ago, and I was doing a bunch of research, like, all right, what's free? What do I need to buy? I finally found something, and then when I went to use it, it was like, crap, my laptop is just far too weak to actually process this stuff and use this program while playing the game. Even if the game's at like the crappiest setting, the quality of the video will have to be also like unbelievably crappy, otherwise it won't even really record. It'll look like I put like 4 pictures in a video that's 10 minutes long or something. But Black Friday's coming up, and there are all these games. It's like the Xbox One is going on sale, and that's on sale, for anyone who doesn't know, it's on sale for like $329. You get the Xbox One with no Kinect, which you don't need it anyway, let's be honest. No Kinect, but it comes with Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Unity, which I think is an amazing deal because I don't remember how much the system costs by itself, but Assassin's Creed Unity just came out. Like, that's a $60 game, and Black Flag you could probably get for like $20. But getting the Xbox One at least for $329, plus you get 2 games, which personally I love Assassin's Creed, so I'd say getting 4 plus Unity, despite the fact that I've heard it has some bugs. Getting those 2 games I think is a great deal. And then like I wish there was some more stuff on like the Wii U and PS4. Unfortunately there isn't. Like the PS4, I saw some stuff. It's really on sale for like the regular price, which is $399. It just comes with games. And the one thing that sucked about that was like I have both the games, because the 2 games I saw for PS4 and this is with Walmart, so you can check other people. But the deal they had was, it's like, all right, you get The Last of Us Remastered and GTA 5, which is basically GTA 5 Remastered for PS4. And it's like, crap, I have both those games already. And it's like, I might as well just get the system. Granted, I could get, maybe if I go to GameStop, like, I don't know, $15, probably less than that for both. But it kind of sucks. Like, if I could choose the games, it would be really great, because that's actually how I got my PS3. I didn't get to choose, but I got 2 games I didn't have because they were I think that was the first next gen. No, I had an Xbox 360, but it was like Uncharted, which is only on PS3, and then Medal of Honor, which was just like a new game, which I didn't have too much interest in getting anyway. But it's like for a PS4, it's like, crap, I just I already have both games. And there are other deals where you can pick the game and it costs more because it comes with a controller plus a game. And then that deal where it's like, I want to do that because that's not a bad deal either, because you save money on controllers, which also costs about as much as a freaking game, which is insane to me to think. You either buy another controller to play with your friend who will probably be over like a fraction of what you think of in your head, or you could just buy a whole new video game for yourself and just, take turns. And it's kind of sucks that it's like that. But, people do that to make money, so I get it. But, like going through that is like, I don't really need a second controller, because I know I'm only really getting this for myself. I'm only going to end up buying single-player games. I'm going to get Infamous, because that was like the one game I wanted when it first came out, because I love the Infamous franchise. And Uncharted 4 is coming out. Assassin's Creed Unity, I'd much rather get it for PS4 than 360, but thinking about it now, I guess it doesn't matter because PS4, you don't get free online like you do with PS3, which really, really sucks to me. But that's like a whole other topic that I don't really want to talk about just because I'd be mad the whole time. But, it's like, well, that was like the main thing was like, I don't want to spend the extra money on the controller. And I guess I kind of just had a whole revelation just talking because getting it on Xbox One wouldn't make a difference to me because of the fact that on PS4 it's not free anymore. And that was like the main thing, like, oh, I don't want to do this because that is a cheaper price. I know the Xbox One doesn't cost $329. I think it's $400 just like the PlayStation, or a little bit. Yeah, I think it's $400. I think it was $500 if you got it with the Kinect originally, but it went down once they got rid of that, when you could actually get the option to not have Kinect with it. And so it's like, since neither is free, I guess I could technically just get Xbox One, and then that kind of takes away from having money towards getting a laptop that I really need, or getting a better camera, which I would also love to have to film actual 1080p video, which I probably can with my crappy camera now. But like, I kind of have to balance all that stuff out. And the craziest thing is, I really want to get the laptop and camera, and I actually need those for the YouTube stuff, but the gaming stuff I could get, and I could do that for YouTube, as well as just like, hey, I finally got myself a new console, and they're way, way cheaper. So it's like, it's almost a really weird balance for me. Like, I really want to spend the extra money to get this stuff, but then it's like, I could also spend like $700 less and just get an Xbox One, which I've wanted because I love all games, and I get 2 games with that, and one of which is the new Assassin's Creed, and I could play through that and also do YouTube videos, and that would be fine because it's for consoles. But it's just like a really weird balance with Black Friday, and it's always like that every year. What am I gonna get? What games are going on sale? Assassin's Creed Rogue, if you don't have a Xbox One or PS4, that is going to be on sale at Walmart for $25, and that also just came out. I'm filming this on November 14th. Both Assassin's Creed games came out on November 11th, and they're, one comes with the Xbox One if you buy it. The other, Assassin's Creed Rogue, is going on sale for $25 on 360 and PS3. So if you're looking for, Assassin's Creed Rogue and you didn't get it, sorry if you did. But yeah, it's going to be on sale at Walmart for $25, starting at like 6 p.m. So you'd have to be one of the early people. But that kind of blew my mind when I saw that. I thought it was Unity at first, and I was thinking I would buy that for $25. Even if I don't get a new system, I was like, I'd buy that just because it's $25. And it's so hard to get games, brand new so cheap. But I don't know what I'm going to end up getting, but I'm getting something. I don't know if I'm going to get a laptop or a camera or a gaming system. I think if I can somehow manage the money, I will definitely get a new laptop though, because that way I could actually do way more gaming videos compared to just having like, an Xbox One, and then I have one new game I can really show off. And then, down the line, get some other games, because I still really want Dead Rising 3, which I can now buy on Steam. But once again, crappy laptop, wouldn't exactly look great, and also couldn't record anything. So once again, crazy balance. But, going through that and Black Friday, and then getting to the Christmas sales, and still probably won't have any real money. I'm looking forward to getting something good. Like, I'm hoping by the end of this year I have something to help me just make way more content on my channel, and hopefully much better content as well. But that's like the main thing I'm looking for, is balancing out my interest in love for video games with my need for this laptop, which at the same time would kind of help my interest in video games, which is why I'm really leaning towards the laptop thing. But it's over $1,000. It's the most expensive thing, and that's what makes me kind of cower back and go like, yeah, but Xbox One, $329, 2 free games. PS4, $400. PS4, as much as I want that more than Xbox One, but it's like more money. Sadly, no real option for me to get a game that I actually want. Like, if it came with like Infamous, and then like another game I just didn't have, that would be perfect for me. I'd be like, even though it's more than the Xbox One, that's what I want. I want Infamous, and like if that came with Assassin's Creed Unity or something, that would be perfect. It would be like two games that I really, really want because, you know, on sale, and I just want those games and can't get them because we're in the new generation, and I spent $300 on PS3 and Xbox 360, and now it feels like it's already old, but it has been like 6 years or something since they came out, so can't really complain too much. And I got a 360 like when it first came out, or I got the Elite one like as soon as that came out, so I guess I can't really complain. And still a bunch of money, but now I just gotta spend more money. And then it's just a constant balance and crappy everyday non-YouTube life stuff and non-nerd things. But I'm really excited for something to come out of this holiday season, something good. But I don't know, you guys can let me know if you guys have any things you're trying to get or anything that you've seen where it's like that's what you really, really want, but you may or may not get it because of either price or you just need something better. Then please put that in the comments below because I have no idea what to do. So you guys let me know what craziness you guys are going through as well. And then no real good segue for this, but just to move on to like another topic. I was with my friends the other day. We were doing our podcast for a group, and we were kind of talking about, we barely skimmed over the Black Friday stuff because, once again, one of the big things is I also want a Wii U, well, of course, Smash Brothers coming out. But we really got into talking about Smash Brothers and all the characters and stuff like that. And I mentioned that it would be really cool if one day, sometime down the line, people just started releasing things that were unfinished in their games. Like it's kind of like the secret stuff. Like, hey, this was a random test level that we created. It was never meant to be an actual level. It's just to test whether or not our characters can actually stand or climb or duck and stuff like that. Here's a random test level, and here's like some random either no background or here's a picture of like a real life picture, because they have those in Smash Brothers too. And that's kind of how we got there, because they have test levels in the game that you can only get through like Game Shark and other cheat based devices. And I thought it would be really cool if we got that in future games, especially now where it's like, hey, here's a whole level from like Uncharted or something crazy like that, and of course free, because I mentioned that too. Like I would hate it if it's like, here's some of the unfinished stuff we did, have fun with this, and like you can't manipulate it or anything, and it's just like, here's something, and then they charge us like $5, which wouldn't surprise me, and depending on the gaming company, of course. But I think that would actually be pretty cool, like if we just got games where we get the finished product, and this was something not like here's the unfinished version of the DLC that we're coming out with later, but just here's the test level. Like this was something never meant to be put into the game, or it was something that was completely scrapped because they either like changed something with the characters or they just changed the story maybe. And so like they have this whole level where it's like, this is what we planned on doing with this when it was draft one of the story or whatever, but since we changed it, now we just have this level that never really fit into the story, so here you guys go. And then you can just run around and play in that level either by yourself just to play around, or put it out on multiplayer and just have it as a multiplayer level, which I believe is what they did with Uncharted, where they have a ton of crazy lab maps and stuff. And that stuff isn't exactly stuff they made and just stopped making. Those are just silly levels they create with just like everything's just like neon colors, and there's no real detail. Like if you look off the map, it's just beige forever, and inside the map is just like neon blue, neon green, pink, and stuff like that. But you get to play around, and it's really fun. They just put out these experimental levels. Like this this makes zero sense whatsoever. It couldn't possibly be in the game, but here's something with our mechanics, and here you go. And those levels I really enjoyed. They also have like a really cool they call it like tag, but it's basically you just throw grenades. Like it's a window between both teams, and you just toss grenades at each other and try to kill each other. And that's really fun to play through. It gets, admittedly for me, it gets kind of old after a little bit, because there's it's just throwing grenades over a wall, and then it gets kind of old for me. But every once in a while, that's definitely fun. And of course, one of the biggest things as far as test levels or just giving players more power is always level editors. Like that's always some of the best stuff you could possibly do in a game. And it would be amazing if we did ever get to a point where no matter the game, whether it's well, maybe not indie games, but like a big company game like an Uncharted game or Infamous or like a Metal Gear Solid game, it's just like, here you go. If they have multiplayer, at least here's pretty much every stock item we have. You can like just put in enemies and stuff like that. You can either make maps or make fake missions and stuff. I would love it if we ever got to a point in gaming where every single game was that way, and it just gave everyone power in every game. It's like you can, maybe not to like an insane extent where you can even make the dialogue up, or maybe you can have it, if you can use dialogue from within the game, that would be pretty cool. But I wouldn't expect us to get to the point where it's like, maybe years and years when sadly we're all gone and games are just too epic for us to comprehend. Maybe then it's almost like a real time sort of thing, and you can just type whatever and it comes out like a like programs we have now, but it actually comes out in that person's voice, even if they never recorded specific words. It kind of makes it up and it creates that word. You just like make up a word or something, and it's in the dialogue. That would be amazing, and you can make up like an entire game, and it would kind of just bring, I kind of don't want to use the term fan fiction because that automatically draws out bad stuff in my head, but it would kind of bring fan fiction to a whole new level in gaming, because people could make literally an entire game. It would probably be done in missions, pretty much like any real game, but you can make an entire story with these characters, and you can make them say certain stuff, and you couldn't bring in new elements from any other game, but you could use what elements you have and change stories around, or just make up stuff and kind of blend levels together, where it's like maybe you're in the city level, but there's also a desert level, and then you mix those together. You just like toss a bunch of sand on the city level, and then it's like boom, you can go inside the building still, but there's sand all over the place. It changes how you hide, and it changes, sandstorms, all sorts of crazy stuff. That would be amazing if we get to that point in technology where you can just do that. And in gaming, you can just make stuff happen. We could just do it however the heck we want to. That would be really cool, and I would love to see that because, like I said, level editing, even though it's not in a ton of games, it's in Infamous 2, which I enjoy. Honestly, and this is so weird that the only other example I have of this is such an old game, but Infamous 2, and then the other one is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And I don't know why that's the only other game I can think of with a level editor in it. Little Big Planet should have been the first thing on my mind. That's the point of the game, really, is to create levels. But if they had stuff like that where it's like, all right, here's every aspect of the game. Some stuff you unlock, some stuff we'll just give to you, but here's every aspect. Go nuts, make a level in the 3D plane, and just run wild and drop your friends in and see how they do, or see how other random people do and stuff like that. I would love to see that in every game possible, because they're just all the games in the world. Like me being a fan of Resident Evil, if I got to make my own version of Resident Evil with the characters, like if it was 6 and I could just mix those characters up and have like Leon with Ada the whole time, or something like that, that would be really cool. Like that would just be an amazing thing. And of course I have to ask you guys, if you could pick a game that doesn't have a level editor, what game would it be? Like even if it wasn't to the extent I mentioned where you can actually put the characters in the game itself, what game would you choose? Like, would you choose a simpler game that you have? Would you choose an indie game if you could? If it was something like, I don't know, Braid or Limbo, if you could mix things up in those games, would you do it that way? Or would you pick a, more, AAA title if it was like Gears of War? Or some people I'm sure would love to do something with Call of Duty. Personally, if I could mix Call of Duty up myself, I think it would be amazing because, and this kind of leads me right into my next topic. I'm kind of like the odd nerd out when it comes to Call of Duty. And, I'm not alone. Of course, you can't really be alone in anything. But I'm one of the people where it's like when Call of Duty comes to mind, I hate the multiplayer. Like, some people, that's like really the point. Like, you will hear all the time where people are like, I don't even play this story. I just get the game because I like multiplayer. I hate the multiplayer. It's just a bunch of, it's not like, not everybody, of course, but some people are douchebags. I personally never really dealt with that. For me, mostly, I just hate the way the game is set up in general, because the matchmaking I always felt was horrible, because you could be like 5 or 10 levels below someone, and it could be different. I haven't played, admittedly, like the past three. I don't have an Xbox One, so of course I don't have Advanced Warfare. I didn't play Ghosts. I didn't play Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which I really wanted to, because I heard the story was actually really good in that, and they had it where you could change certain things here and there, and I really wanted to play that one for its story. But I'm always like the odd person out, and of course, if you feel like you're the odd person out, or like the odd nerd out for whatever random thing, like, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. You have a ton of people go nuts over Star Wars, and then you have people who are just like, I've never seen them and I don't care to. That happens all the time, and of course, people like me are like, how can you not like Star Wars, and how could you not see it? Personally, just it's got lightsabers. You should love it, but. Like, how are you the odd nerd out? Like, what is it for you? Like, is it Star Wars? Maybe it's, Call of Duty, like me, where you hate the multiplayer, you really like the story. Because I think, personally, the stories for the games are well done. They're super short, of course, because they know no one, like, most of the people buying this game are getting it just to play online. So they make 6-hour campaigns, which is super short. And that might as well be a PlayStation game, honestly. But the stories are fun. Like, I played through the Modern Warfare games, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, however the freaking titles really go. But I played through Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Those are it's like one big story overall. I really enjoyed every single one. It has lots of cool twists and turns. Characters die, characters betray you that you don't expect. It's a good story, and I enjoy that. And the ending was really well done too. I was like, this is a good, nice wrap up to the story. And everything's super cinematic. I think one of the big things is it's, Call of Duty is like, oh, you're playing through a Michael Bay movie, because it's just everything blowing up. So, it's really silly and fun. But I love watching that stuff and playing through it, and you get fun levels. Like, I remember in Modern Warfare 2, you go through just a normal suburban city, but it's kind of been taken over by the military, because they've like evacuated everyone because of this terrorist strike. And I thought that was amazing. It's like, just because I love those type of things, like anything post-apocalyptic, or anything where it's like the military had to come in because there's like a huge nuclear strike coming, or people had to evacuate. I love that type of stuff, getting to see normal locations in different situations, or very high risk situations that you just wouldn't get that in real life. Like, I hope we never get that in real life, where we have to evacuate a city, of course. But game wise, that's really fun, and it was very interesting. You just go through these houses, and they're just normal houses. Some houses are really nice. It's like, oh, there's a big screen TV and stuff. Sorry, I shot it up. You probably weren't coming back anyway. But that type of stuff is really fun, and you go through these interesting locations. You do all these insanely crazy things. They had this part where I believe it was New York City, and it was being overrun and stuff. All of that stuff I find very entertaining. And then you go online, and it's just, someone's 5 levels ahead of you, and they just have a gun that's like a million times better than anything you could possibly have. And then you just die all the time, and it's just like, don't like it. I love the zombie stuff. That's really fun, because it's a co-op thing, and you aren't going against each other. So I really love that. But like, as far as regular, just, versus team deathmatch, or even free-for-all, it's just not that fun to me. I always kind of hated it. And it's not exactly better, because that's kind of what people love about the game. It's sold for multiplayer, and that's what people buy it for. So they don't really need to do anything as far as single player goes. It's like, all right, let's do a good 6-hour campaign. Let's blow some stuff up. Let's get some lasers, advanced warfare. So we got shields and exoskeletons and stuff like that. And then we're done. All right, here's multiplayer forever and expensive DLC. Well, I can't say expensive, but it shouldn't cost money. DLC, like little skins and things like that aren't really anything, or stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I'm like the odd nerd out when it comes to Call of Duty, and I'm like that in a lot of things too. Like a lot of things that'll blow up, like big movies and stuff. One movie, like the only movie that comes to mind really, is like Napoleon Dynamite. When that came out, when it got really popular, at least, now I shouldn't say when it actually first came out, but when it got popular, I just never saw it. I was like, I enjoy the movie. It's funny, but I never thought the junk was super amazing or anything like that. And excuse me, the same thing goes for The Hangover. Like that movie, I mean, The Hangover. It just blew up like crazy. So that was pretty much it. It was like, oh, it's the funniest thing ever here and there. Love the movie. I think it's really funny, but I just never got it. I was like, I like the movie. I'm not gonna watch it a bunch. I think I've seen it, maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's mostly because if something's on TV and there's nothing else on TV, you kind of watch that funny thing, So that's how it's always been for me with The Hangover, and it was never like that huge comedy thing for me, and I just never got it. Maybe I'm weird like that. I get it sometimes, like the Anchorman stuff. That junk I was on board with that because I saw that, honestly, just the fight where the guy got his arm chopped off in the first movie. And sorry if that's a spoiler, honestly. It's like, it's Anchorman. It's just such a minor thing. That alone was like one of the funniest things to me. So I was kind of on board with the whole Anchorman being like a hilarious, great, amazing film because I thought it was super funny. But like with The Hangover, I did enjoy it. I really, like, if I watched it today, I would guaranteed laugh. One of my favorite parts is when they sing the song on the piano. But when it first really blew up, I just never really got it. Like, it just never hit me, and I don't know why. It just never did. Like, I love comedy movies and action movies more than anything else. And it's just like, yeah, I find stuff funny, and then I kind of just move right past it. And I might go back, but for the most part, it was just like, yeah, it was funny, and it'll be funny next time, but not like the biggest thing in the world to me. But those are just some of the ways I'm like the odd nerd out. Of course, like I said, if it's, whether it's gaming, movies, whatever it is, even TV shows, Game of Thrones is a good thing. I just haven't seen Game of Thrones. I just haven't really had the time to sit and watch that, so that's a little bit different. It's not like I've seen it and I was like, I don't like it or anything, so don't go nuts on me for that one. I just haven't had the chance yet. But for like The Hangover and stuff like that, things I've actually experienced, and it's like, compared to other people, I guess it's lackluster. For me, it's just normal. But if you look at one person's love for the film and then mine, it seems like I don't even give a crap. So if you feel that way about anything, or you're that way, whether it's with your friends or just in general, just it's that big thing, and you're just like, like. And this is a really odd one, and it's almost like half the people on the planet are this way and the other half aren't. But like the Twilight thing, it's like, it seems like most people do hate it, but they blow up. They blew up. They were so incredibly popular, and I still don't understand why. Like, I've seen all the movies. I can be honest about that. I had no interest. The first one was on TV. I was like, this is incredibly popular. So I watched it, and I was like, it's all right. My favorite part were the end credits because I like that song. And then I saw the second one at the Dollar Theater the next day because I was like, oh, I've never done that before, where I saw the first movie at home, and then I went to the movies to catch the second one the very next day. So that was honestly like my favorite part. I was like, oh, I've never done this. And, it's just like, like they're movies with a so-so love story, which may or may not be a crappy love story, depending on how you look at it, because some stuff was just so simple and stupid. But I like the action in the movies. Like, that was honestly my favorite part, was the action. And then the drama stuff was just drama that I didn't really connect with, not because I'm not a young teenage girl or anything like that. It just did not appeal. Like, it has nothing to do with sex or even age, really. It's just sometimes you like stuff, sometimes you don't. And I think the odd thing with Twilight is that it has enough people, it has more than enough, of course, to just be like the biggest thing ever. But is there a single reference on television where they reference Twilight and they don't hate it? Like, if you've ever seen a reference in any show or any other movie where they reference Twilight and they say, like, I liked it in any way, please put that down in the comments, because I've never seen that before in my life. It's always, Twilight's dumb, or it's such a bad movie, and it's just, that's the big thing about that franchise. It's always mocked by pretty much anything else in media. But if you've seen or heard something where it's like they referenced it but in a good way, I would love to know what that is. And if you have a link, please put it in the comments so I can actually see this clip. But that's just one of those big things where it's oddly a huge number of people that love it, huge number of people that hate it. Like, I could pretty much ask anyone I know and it would be like, yeah, it sucks, but easily go online and gross billions of dollars over the franchise and stuff like that. So it's really crazy. But that's gonna wrap it up for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Of course, with this only being my second episode, I'm gonna need a ton of feedback to from you guys so that I know how to make this better. Should I make it shorter? Because the plan is to have long episodes. Like the first one, that's why it was so short, was because it was really just meant to be the video where I put all my pictures in. But the plan is to have these be about an hour long. Like this one probably won't end up being an hour because I'm not going to spend 15 minutes just talking about how I need feedback. But that's kind of the plan, is to have them be around an hour long or so. With me being by myself, it could end up being only half an hour if I really feel like I don't have anything to talk about. But of course, I need feedback from you guys, and if you have any subjects or topics that you want me to talk about, if you want to know my opinion, or if you want to do like randomly just ask me anything about myself, you want me to talk about myself, I can easily do that in this. It'll of course just give me more stuff to talk about. But please give me lots and lots of feedback, good or bad. Of course, I need it to make it better. So whatever feedback you have, please put it down in the comments below. And of course, thank you guys for listening. If you didn't see episode 1, please check that one out. It's pretty short. It's just anime convention stuff. It's got a bunch of pictures in it, so it'll be much more entertaining than this. I have no idea what the heck my picture is going to be for now. Obviously, you've already been seeing it for I don't know how long, for about 47 minutes almost anyway, considering you've made it this far. But I'll figure out something to have an actual logo for this specific podcast. Odds are, once I have the time, I'm just going to end up taking a picture of all my katanas together, and that's going to be my logo for this actual podcast. It might as well be, because I have them, so, and the name, it actually fits. But thanks for listening, guys. Please check out episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 3, and like I said, put down any feedback that you guys have below. Answers to the different subjects, how you nerd out, things like that. Please put those down in the comments below as well. And thank you very, very much for listening to me just ramble on for almost an hour.